All right. Well, here she is. It's that moment, the moment of truth, the moment of time, the totally driven time. Let's welcome the one, the only Miss Ashley Berges. How are you doing, Ashley?
Hey, I'm glad to be here. How are you doing, sweetheart? Y'all having a good night?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, where the accent? Are you from Texas?
Actually, I was originally born in Memphis, Tennessee, actually. So I don't know. I was born there, but I wasn't really raised there. So I was New Orleans, Wisconsin, Ohio, Texas. So I don't really think I have an accent, but I think it's just like, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe I have that Southern charm sound or something like that from the Southern states.
Totally
but,
that.
Yeah, so maybe that's what it is. But.
For me being a person
my mom's from she's got a real Southern accent, so.
Well, me being a person up here in Philly, I can definitely pick out the accent that you do have an accent.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good. I'm trying not to really have one, and it really comes out at certain times, it just depends. So you get that, you get the little bit of that Texas drawl a little bit, no matter if you're from here originally or only lived here for 15, 20 years, but yeah, so.
It just becomes a force of habit.
Yeah, where are you from originally?
Philadelphia.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
You have an accent too. I can hear it.
A lot of people say that I have that Philly accent going on, and I'm really not even. There's time when I really start to get like aggravated and pissed off, it really comes out, and I hear it myself.
Does it really?
The real Philly Italian accent comes out. Yeah, oh yeah.
Are you Italian too? Are you Italian?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Oh man, okay, that's cool. Yeah, so my family is a half and halfer. I mean, I also got American Indian thing going on. So, long story short, but my mother's father was 100% Cherokee, but on my dad's side, my dad's mother and father met each other right after the war. They spoke two different languages. She spoke Italian and he spoke French.
Wow.
So he said the sex must have been really good. But anyway, point being is they learned English together. But so she actually came up from Ellis Island, and she came up and she was from Sicily, Palermo. So, and then my dad's father was French, and that's where it comes Berges. We call it Berges, but it's Berges, but we say Berges, But he's from that region in France. It's called Berges, and so that's a pretty common name out there apparently. But yeah, so that was kind of an interesting little tidbit.
That's what. Can you imagine? I couldn't imagine being married to somebody and speaking two different languages, or even just being friends with somebody.
Isn't that wild?
And they didn't have phones.
Think about it. You go home and you're hanging out. And...
Right.
Isn't that funny, though? You're hanging out, you're making dinner and stuff, hanging out, doing stuff. You're like, and you're like, well, I kind of know the language a little bit, but, hey, I know the language of love, and I can make really good food. So she would make an antipasta dish, and she would make a French dish, and she would make an Italian dish. And they would eat. I mean, they ate like the way I would love to eat, but I would be so big you would have to probably build me a secondary house. But anyway, long story short, they had the love thing and the food thing, and then eventually they learned English and really connected together. It's pretty cute little story.
It is. That's an amazing story. That's wild.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So you were like. You were like, I'm going to say like the quote unquote totally driven person. You're like you're in this so much, and a person myself who also is like in this so much and trying to do so much. Like, how do you do it? Like, how do you stay? It's funny too because I was actually listening to one of your episodes. It was about staying focused and all. Like, how do you just stay on an even keel? Because I know there's times like where I'm like going through like a breakdown, and I just gotta like tune myself out to everything and just shut down for like a day or two and just go in hiding.
Man, I'd love to do that sometime. I'm like, oh man, I'm starting to even dream about that right now. No, honestly, it's kind of like you kind of got to. I don't know. This is how I do it. No matter what it's going through, no matter what I'm dealing with, even if I'm going through a midlife crisis or whatever have you, I kind of just figure. What's the worst that's going to happen? And I also think about the fear factor, and I know that fear is not kind. And the more I stay on the sidelines and I don't deal with it, I get really scared. And fear to me has never been my friend. I'm kind of allergic to fear. And I don't know, it's just that's something quantitative about it. I don't understand really, but sometimes it's hard to focus. I mean, for all your listeners out there, it's hard to stay focused on stuff when you got a lot of stress in your life.
Sure.
I mean, come on. I mean, anybody can sit there and say, refocus your crap and get your head back in the game, take it out of your butt, and let's go. You know, that's easy for people to say until they're in the middle of whatever life situation that you're in. But I like to look at it from a different perspective. So I like to step back and just sit there and say, hey, is there another perspective to this problem that's not necessarily a problem? Right. And then I do that like 3 or 4 times, because the first 2 times I look at myself like I'm a moron. And then like the 3rd or 4th time I finally go, you know what, there is something to be learned here, or there's something I need to deal with, or there's some other way around it. And then it's just like, cool. It's like, okay, now I can see the forest through the trees. I might not always be happy about it, but I know that there's a way I can kind of circumvent against it and kind of go another direction. And that makes me happy, because I don't always like to follow the rules.
Now, do you have like people helping you, or are you just like a one-person wrecking crew taking this all on yourself?
I don't know. Am I supposed to tell anybody that though? Because you know they might come after me. No, yeah. I mean, pretty much it's me. I come up with all my own material. Every show comes out of my noodle. A lot of those shows come out of my noodle the minute I sit down to do the show. When I connect with clients, you know, I'm a therapist and a life coach, and when I connect with them, it's like I can sit down there just for 20, 30 minutes, and I can connect with them, and I know where they're coming from, and I know why they have pain, and I know why they have anger. I have a few people that help me on the sidelines, but they don't do the other stuff. Right. And I would love to have an army of people to help me out, but you know, eventually that'll happen. But you know, it's just you know, you got to create it. And for anybody else that's listening right now, you know, we have to start off. We got to, you know, pull ourselves up our bootstraps, and we got to do what we got to do. And sometimes I'll wake up in the morning and I'll be like, you got to be kidding me. You know, and I think a lot of people think that, you know, they're like, well, we pay our dues and we work our butts off. And some days you see some real milestones hit and you get really happy. And other days you kind of feel, well, what's happened recently? And other days you kind of go, you know, I've been paying my dues for a long time, or on the flip-flop, I've been doing this and I'm trying to get to that next level. When is that going to happen? But I think in those situations, and I think that's what you're alluding to, is that in those situations you kind of got to step back and say, okay, well, yeah, you might have to take a day off. But when you get back into the game, you say, well, what else am I going to do? Because if I'm on purpose and I'm doing what my purpose is about, then this is just a roadblock that's only going to be there for a certain amount of time. Right. And I got to find a way around it, because I know a way around it. Now let's just find that way around it. Yeah.
That's like a huge question, is finding your way around it.
Yeah, and then you have to tap into yourself. Well, what is the problem? What's the crises? But better yet, is there something I can learn? And I think there's something we can learn from everything. There's certain things we can learn about ourselves. There's certain things we can learn about other people. We can learn about situations that we put ourselves in. But, you know, when it goes down to the main caveat, what is the caveat? The caveat is, unfortunately, most of us don't give ourselves the same respect we give other people. And we don't give ourselves that same love and stuff. And so, unfortunately, that's where we're coming from. If we looked at ourselves from a different perspective and said, man, I'm good stuff, now let's figure out how I get over this.
Do you think that's one of the hardest things for a person to do, is truly love themselves?
It's the hardest thing anybody does on the planet. It's the reason why we're here. You know, I mean, that's the whole basis for our life, is to figure that out. And once we figure that out, and then we have to figure it out. But once we figure it out, a lot of us, we're not going to do it. I mean, A lot of us are like, this is just a crock of crap. You know what I mean? This is just a bunch of hogwash from some positivity guru that has no idea about life. And then when you finally step back and you go, wait a second, maybe there is something to it. And you go, but why should I love myself? Because that seems so egotistical. You know, and I think a lot of people find that very egotistical and narcissistic. Like, I'm not supposed to love myself, so I'm supposed to love everybody else and be altruistic. But if I love myself, that means that I'm an egotistical maniac. And
Right.
yes, there are some people out there that are complete egotistical maniacs, but that's not what I'm prescribing. I mean, it's really like being able to sit back and say, looking in the mirror and going, I don't care if I'm 50 pounds overweight. I don't care if I have acne. I don't care that I don't have a second doctorate or whatever the heck that looks like physically, mentally, emotionally. I love me. And then you have to sit there and follow the words with the action. And it takes a lifetime. This isn't like you do it one day and you go, okay, yeah, I love myself. This is awesome. Okay, now to the next thing, let's take a cruise to the Bahamas. No, this is every single second of the day, because this is the one thing that we keep downplaying is, we're a pretty big being here in a human body. And it's like, we got to get over the fact that eventually, no matter what we've been told in our past or what we believe, or what people have told us negatively about ourselves, or a disease or whatever has gotten to us, we have to pull ourselves out of that and say, hey, I'm pretty amazing. But it takes a lot of work. And it really is the hardest thing, I think, honestly, anybody can do in an entire lifetime.
I know it's extremely hard for me.
Yeah. I mean, it was hard for me. I mean, it was probably hard for Gandhi, for God's sakes. I mean, this isn't stuff that, like Deepak Chopra and everything. I think a lot of times people don't think about this stuff. They don't realize that yes, we have a duality. We feel like it's hypocritical to feel this way, or we're not supposed to love ourselves, or whatever that looks like, because it's narcissistic and it sounds like a jerk. But then on the flip side, it's not anything like that at all. It's about literally loving yourself. And, you can be in complete tears and be like, man, I am amazing, even though I might have these faults on this earthly plane, but I love them. But it just takes so long to get there. But when you get there, then you got to work at it. Then it's like you have homework every day,
That's the hard part. Now, once it's kind of like, I'm going to relate it to like weight loss. Like once you get to your goal weight, like that's the easy part. The hard part is maintaining it.
So getting to your goal weight. Yeah, and then keeping it, you mean, maintaining it?
Yes, that's the hard part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sucks. It sucks because you actually you get there and you go, oh my God, I got here. What's the first thing? Let's go out and get some champagne. Let's go out and do something. The next thing you know, in 1 week you go, oh crap. I mean, I'm 5 pounds. How did this happen? So you go back on that whole back and forth, the yin-yang, the yo-yoing of the weight and stuff like that. But you're right. It's like, it's very much like that. And it's even harder than that, because you can kind of get addicted to that weight thing. You can't really get addicted to loving yourself, because that becomes the narcissistic viewpoint. But it's like you got to do it altruistically all the time. And the best way to do it is to begin to look at other people and say, how do I treat other people when I love them and I care about them? Then why can't I do that for me?
That's true.
I mean, how many times do we tell our friends how much we love them and we care about them and we do stuff for them that we wouldn't even do for ourselves?
Yeah.
Drive across town to bring somebody soup because they're sick. When was the last time you made yourself a meal when you were sick?
Yeah, right.
Instead of just taking Sudafed and going to bed and drinking some Johnny Walker and going, okay, I'm cured, you know what I mean? But you went to the store and you got food and you brought it over to a friend and you were there for them, and you could have gotten the flu while you were there, but you didn't care. So why don't we do that for us?
That is a good question.
I know. I'm like thinking about that myself.
No, I'm like, wow, like, all right, that's pretty deep. That's very deep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good deep. It's a good deep. I'm trying to think about what soup they're going to bring over now.
So, all right, no, like you have like all these like we'll say titles on your resume. I mean, you're a psychologist, you're a keynote speaker, an author, life coach, talk show host. Like, which I guess psychologist came first, and you just started expanding out to different horizons, or how did this all happen?
Yeah, it really kind of, it's interesting how life goes. All this started as a kid. you know, and it all started as a child, and I had to figure out a bunch of stuff. And so I had to figure out a bunch of stuff, and nobody could help me figure it out. And I went to people to try to help me figure it out. They couldn't figure it out. And it got to the point where nobody could help me. They just gave me more questions, no answers. And then I had to figure out how to find those answers. And then a lot of your life, when you go through a lot of questions and you go through a lot of pain, you go through a lot of agony, you go through a lot of stuff. And I think a lot of people that might be listening to your show right now that are going through, you know, whatever that is, maybe it's cancer or, you know, or whatever that might look like to some people, it makes you question everything about you. And especially if they don't even know what the diagnosis is. And so that's what I went through as a kid. And I had a condition that nobody understood. It wasn't diagnosed till my mid-20s. And I was in and out of the hospital. Experimental surgeries performed on me. Almost died on the table a couple times. And this is real. This is a person's painful life. And, you know, and I finally realized, I was like, you know, I'm not taking crap from nobody anymore. But I also realized I'm going to know, and I want the answers, and I'm going to figure those out. And so, yeah, so that started the first, that predicated. Then I kind of ranged that out to the life coach because, you know, the cool thing is that I can help people with depression and anxiety and the loss of a spouse or whatever that looks like, that geography. I can help somebody get down to their anger issues and figure out why that happens. But even on the flip side, I could take somebody out of that, bring them to a level of most people they're pretty okay, but they might have a little depression here and there, or they might be lost, or they don't know their next direction, or they don't know really why they're here, or they don't know how to love themselves. And that's one of the things I really like to work with people, because we can take them to that next plateau.
Right.
And that's what I really love to do, because you get to see people really shine. And they always knew there was something more, but there was nobody to ever explain to them what that more was, or to even show them how to find that more. And when you have somebody that can illuminate the more, and they've been through it and they've done it and they've done the crap work and they've pulled themselves up from their bootstraps. And I pulled myself up from the basement to the rooftop deck, and I went back to the basement a couple times to hang out, came back up. But the thing is that I figured out how to do it, and I can help people do it. You have a lot of folks that are textbook, and I totally appreciate that, and I do both. But I think if you can adapt textbook to personal life understanding, you can get to people where they're at, and you can bring them up, and they can bring themselves up in a much faster rate.
Now, what's it like for you, like when you see that, like the light bulb go off on that person and they start to realize things? Do you almost feel like a proud parent?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm like the peacock, you know. I'm like the best friend, you know, that's over there sitting there going, man, you got it. And it's an awesome feeling. I had a client one time, and I'll share this. I don't want to ramble on and on. I don't, you know, this is your show, you know, and I appreciate you having me on. I had a client come, you know, in, and she looked at me the first time she came in my office, and she said, hey, I'm not taking crap from anybody. I haven't taken a shower in about 6 days. I don't really care what you think. I'm completely depressed. You know, I lost my dad. I lost this and this. And I'm really not happy, and I don't really know if I'm going to be around. I don't know what I want to do. And I remember I took her from that to literally about 3 months later, she knocked on she came in the front, came through the front door. And when I came out of the back office, she had a suit on, like a nice woman, you know, like a shirt. She had like makeup on, her hair done. It wasn't just that. After 3 months of work, she was so clear-headed, and she had realized so much stuff. Because she reintroduced herself to me, like I don't know who she is, but I thought that was sweet because she's like, now I'm at this level. Can we work on that? And it's amazing when you take somebody from being at literally thinking about suicide.
Sure. To,
you know, hey, I'm way better than that, and she's glowing. And when you see people glow, men, women, children, when they're glowing, you just, man, it's a good feeling. You know, I mean, I almost start to cry. I got to keep it together, you know. You got to keep it together. You're like, oh God, you know, I can't cry here. I got to keep it together. But I will show emotion with clients, because I disagree with the fact that some therapists don't show emotion. And I think to some degree it's good. I think you need to connect with your clients. And I say, if you can't connect, maybe they have an emotional issue, you know, and I kind of feel that about therapists. is that I think that they should connect more with their clients to some degree, because I think it makes their client realize, hey, they're in it with me too.
Right. Now, you've seen, or I've seen, I don't know if you've watched like Sopranos and shows like that, where the therapist is seeing a therapist. So do you do that too, to like get your stuff out?
Oh, I actually saw a therapist for about 3 years. I haven't been to a therapist in about a year and a half, but I got to the point that we were working on some comical things. I was like, well, I think I have an issue with this. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I think a good therapist has done really major psychotherapy on themselves. Because if they haven't, what's the caveat? Right? The caveat is that if they haven't done it, then when a client comes in, what happens? They might put their own issues on the client's issues, and then the client starts to be a little foggy on why they're there. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if somebody doesn't have the ability to meet the right man or the right woman, and if the therapist has had problems with marriage or meeting somebody, they could put their own stigma or perception on that, and it clouds the judgment of the client. And so good psychotherapy for a therapist is important, because you need to work with all your stuff, get all your demons out, right? What they say, demons, get your demons out, get your stuff out, and then you're able to listen in a clean slate to somebody else talk and go, I'm not going to judge them, and I'm going to listen exactly what they're saying. I'm going to take in their mannerisms. I'm going to take in exactly what they're telling me, their past or anything, and I'm going to figure this out, and I'm going to come up with the right stuff. But I'm also going to ask them the questions so they can come up and they can understand why they've chosen that path, not why I think they've chosen that path, based on my own problems. And you do see that often. I have clients that come in my office and they said, hey, I was going to a psychotherapist for 10 years. I'm like, for 10 years? Why? And you're coming to me now? I'm like, why 10 years? I mean, why do you spend 10 years? I mean, I don't go to the store and buy the same product that doesn't work for 10 years. I mean, after a while, I'm going to sit there and wonder, hey, what's the right thing? And if this product's not working for me, then I got to pick up another product. But that's when they normally come to me, and then that's when after 3 or 4 months they're like, wow. And I'm like, yeah, 10 years, man. I wish I would have kept it for 10 years, but I just can't do that in my own heart. I can't do that. I got morals and stuff, So it is what it is.
Now, I've been going to see a therapist for, Christ, 6 years now. Okay. But I'm on my third one in 6 years.
How often do you go in?
Once a week.
And I mean, do y'all talk about all different? But see, how long you been going to the same one? This last one?
It might be about 3 years now.
That's okay. That's okay timing. You know what I mean? 3 years not bad. I mean, it's just when people make it, and sometimes people need that. I mean, sometimes people need to talk to somebody. They need to talk to somebody when it's been more than 4 or 5 years. They need to talk to somebody. I just one of those people I like to deal with the deep issues and get them done and then continue to move on. As far as coaching clients and stuff like that, I think that's kind of where you're probably at, is you're just like doing maintenance. And maintenance that's cool. Maintenance is cool, but I do feel that if you're not getting a breakthrough, an honest breakthrough, and that's what I kind of have an ego when it comes to that. If you're not getting an honest breakthrough every session, you might not feel it right in the session, but when you get home or when you wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning and you feel it and you go, oh, my God. If you're not getting that one, at least every other session, then you might want to think about it.
I'll tell you what.
Because you need to be having a good breakthrough.
I walk out of there every week, and I just feel so good. I really do.
Perfect. Well, then you got a great therapist, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what life's about. If you can find somebody that's good like that, then you keep on with them. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now
that's awesome.
How many clients do you see? I mean, do you have a lot, or?
I only see clients 2 days a week because I'm on the radio 7 days a week, and then we got the new TV show launching here in a few weeks, and So I got the radio shows, Live Your True Life Perspectives, and Live Your True Life Perspectives is on Sunday through Sunday, 2 hours during Monday through Friday, and then just an hour, or 2 hours on Saturday, 1 hour on Sunday. But and then I like to see folks. I see 1 day of therapy and 1 day of coaching. But then see a lot of that Skype though too, because I'm not just I like to work with people all across the country and actually a couple people in the world. So
I was wondering.
I do a lot of Skype. Yeah.
Now, how does that do you think you still get the full effect being on video with each other compared to being live in person, like in the same room?
It's kind of funny. Yeah, it's a good question. You know, it's kind of funny because at first I used to think that it was kind of a joke. I was like, okay, so I'm going to watch this person on Skype and we're going to have a real therapy session. And the first therapy session, I was like, okay. Well, I was like, whoa, this is really kind of intense. And quite honestly, it's pretty intense, even like it is in person, because you're face to face, you know, the whole time, and you can see when somebody looks down, you can see when somebody looks to the left, right, up or down. You can see when somebody starts to cry. You can see when somebody is holding back. Yeah, I mean, I actually even do phone calls too. But I only limit that to certain clients that I've worked with for a certain period of time because I need to see them a little bit more to work with them as a phone call client.
Right.
Because you have to really get to understand who they are so that you know the triggers and you know what's going through their mind more. Because when you're dealing with a brand new client, I get a little hesitant about doing a phone conversation only.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because you just never know. You don't want to lead anybody down the primrose path, and you want to make sure you give them the right assessment. You know.
Wow. So now you're on the air 7 days a week. That's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, you know, it's good. I mean, we're getting it out there. I mean, on 25 stations now. And moving forward, it's work though. You know, I'm doing my own solo syndication here, so this is like the grassroots effort, you know. But it's good, you know, getting the message out there, and people really resonate with it. You know, I did a show recently on borderline personality disorder, and man, that really was off the charts. But yeah, I had an email today from my website. Somebody contacted me, a gentleman, and he said, you know, what you said in that whole show resonated with every single point that I'm dealing with my girlfriend. What do I do? And interesting. I mean, people are really listening to the shows, but because I think it's hard. You want to get the message out, and you want to help people at least understand how to find their true self and their calling and their purpose, but also how to deal with the problems in life. I mean, you know, we don't have to always deal with the lofty ideas. We need to get past through the minutia first, you know, to really get into that so we can let go of the stuff that's holding us back.
Yeah. I know myself. I hold back so much. I really do. And sometimes it's just so tough just to let go.
It is. It's life. We're human. I mean, think about all the stuff that's all coming at us at one time, and all the people and the energies and the personalities and trying to fit in. You know, I mean, ever since we were a kid, we always wanted to fit in. Mm-hmm. You know, ever since we were a kid, we wanted everybody to like us. You know, I mean, I remember being on the bicycle, you know, and my mom and my dad be out there out in front of the house, and you know, then you got on the bicycle and you come back up the other path, you know, coming back down the street, going past the parents again, and you pull your hands off the, you know, the handlebars, and you go, look, you know, and they got their backs turned to you, and they're talking to some neighbor or pulling some weed, you know, out of the garden or whatever, and you're like, you got to be kidding me. I almost fell. I could have broken my neck doing that, you know, but it was because we're trying to show off. We're trying to get people to like us, be impressed people. So you have that whole quandary that we deal with in life, and then trying to find people around us that bring the right energy, you know, that we can actually be around, and that love us for us instead of what we have, or don't love us for us for what we don't have, or whatever that looks like, you know.
Yeah.
Do you have a dog?
What's that?
Do you have a dog?
I have 2.
What kind?
I have a Lhasa Apso and a Bulldog.
Very cool.
I have Bosco the Bulldog and Ozzy the Lhasa Apso.
That's cool. I love dogs. I was just asking. So my dog, I came home for the interview, and my dog was jumped up right next to me and just started licking my face, and I was talking to you. I was
what kind of dog
hello. You have? I actually have 1 miniature bull terrier and 1 full-size bull terrier.
Oh, nice.
Like the Target dog.
The Target
like,
dog.
Yeah, all the kids are like, Mommy, it's the Target dog, Mommy. And then, like, everybody else is like, dude, that's the Budweiser dog. Remember Spuds McKenzie?
Of course.
Remember Spuds?
Yeah.
I got 2 Spuds. You know, they're crazy. And they do like beer, by the way. You got to keep them away from it.
Little Rascal, right? What was the dog's name? Was it
yeah,
Petey?
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There you go.
Exactly. And then the Patton dog. So some of my friends that, back in the day, they're like, it's the Patton dog. And so it's interesting. And then you got some people that, from Friday, they're like, that's Chico. So you got that whole, that whole dynamic. I mean, we cross all races, creeds, everything, Equal opportunity dogs right here. Yeah, that's exactly what that is.
Now, with your radio show, like doing, 7 days a week, like, how do you keep coming up with topics to talk about? I mean, that's a lot.
I'm going to keep praying about that. Yeah, I mean, like, there are days that I literally walk in there and I go, oh my God, what am I going to talk about, and then there's other days that I'm up and going and I'm revved up about it, but it's given. It's just like, honestly, I have to give that to God, because otherwise I'm a human, I don't know. I mean, how do you get all that informational downloads? I don't know. But it comes, and I think I'm really backlogged on uploading the stuff to my website, so I apologize to everybody and anybody that even listens to my show. But I think, we have about 400, that have aired recently. And, every day that I wake up, I go, will I come up with the next one? Will I come up with 600? Will there be 1,000? How will this all look? I just take it day by day.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, but think about it. You get all kinds of topics, and I have to go work with all the topics that you think about, in your head. Because on a daily basis, you can get topics. Like I came up with one today that I'm going to be doing tomorrow. And I was sitting there with my dogs, right? And one of them was a younger dog. She's a puppy, kind of. And the other dog is upset because he's a 6-year-old dog. And he's like, what the heck? Why did you bring her here? So we're dealing with the whole connection with the 2 dogs and bringing them together. And I remember I was sitting there holding her for a second. This was early this morning. I was holding her, and I was like, God, I wish she'd just grow up faster. Then this would all be over, and she'll be an adult, and there won't be any of this crap, and I can move on with my life, And then I went, wait a second, that's messed up. And I go, but when is the next time that I'm going to get to see a puppy grow up? And then I was like, oh, man, I'm supposed to be grateful for this stuff. And then I sat back and I'm holding her, and she's real quiet, which is funny, because I guess she heard like the wheels of my brain with the gerbil with the wheel going. And and then she's like, I realized when we're in the middle of stuff, we created it, right? So we started it. So when people get married or they have a child or they get a puppy or whatever that looks like, right? And then they go, oh my God, this sucks. There's part of it that they love, and there's part of it that they're just like, why did I do this to myself? And then you get into this whole formulation of what's the next step, and then I was like, oh my God, we're supposed to be grateful. So how do we become grateful on a daily basis, even when we're dealing with crap? So that's what I'm going to do a show on tomorrow. How not to miss the awesome times, that kind of thing. And still keep your sanity.
That's right there. That's a show in itself. How to keep your sanity.
That's the main liner right there, is how to keep your sanity.
Now, with your show, is it mostly? It is hard, absolutely. But is your show now? I listened to 2 episodes. I listened to one of the ones. It was about focusing yourself in life and all, and the other one I listened to was with Ed Asner with, which everything about Ed just revolved around sex. It seemed like everything that motivated him in life was sex, which kind of frightened me.
It's hilarious. Oh my God! So backstory on that show, I called him and he answered his cell phone. And I was like, "Hey," I was like, "Is this Ed?" And he goes, "Yes." He goes, "Is this Ashley?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Okay, Ashley." He goes, "You know what? I saved the day." And I said, "Okay, Ed, what did you do today?" And he goes, "I saved the effing day." I said, "Well, what happened today that you saved?" And he said, "The dog tried to take a crap on the floor, and I got him outside before he did it. So I saved the day." So what are we going to talk about on your show? That was the beginning of the show. That was before we ever started, and it's so funny. So very funny guy. He was trying to mess with me about the whole Oedipus complex, and I think he was really going after the Psychologist profile of what he was about. And he was having a lot of fun doing it. And he's a funny. He was really going after. He was funny. He was trying to get the Psychologist goat, like go after you, And I remember there was one point he's like, I know that I'm getting the Psychologist right now. I know it, If I say it's all about sex, then there's something behind it. But yeah, he was a funny guy. He's pretty cool. So interesting, fun interview. How many times you come across that? And he actually sang a full song in that show. He kept telling me he's not going to sing. I said, "What's your favorite song?" We talked about it because music really connects with our minds. It connects with our spirit, and it can make us feel a certain way, happy or sad. It can bring up those amazing memories, or it can really tear us down. And it can make us sad, or it can make us real happy or elated, or it can make us get work. We can get in the gym and start working out, put those little tights on and go crazy. But I asked him what his favorite song was, and and he was like, "Toots, you ain't gonna get me to sing." Well, when you listen to the interview, you know that he sang that whole song.
Wow.
and that's what connects people. It's like he did it because he felt he wanted to do that, and that's why I love interviewing certain celebrities, because it's not about that that tongue in cheek that, oh, what was your last film and how much did it gross, and what did you wear on the red carpet. It's more heavy-hitting stuff that, in the celebrity perspective that's coming out for TV, that's very heavy-hitting. It's like we got Greg Louganis, talking about everything from his journey from age to basically his career has just skyrocketed. But
Sure.
We talk about deep, hard-hitting. We talk even about DWIs. We talk about everything.
Wow.
And it's stuff that you don't hear, because, everybody's human. And I think that when people start realizing the people they look up to, it might be a professional athlete or a film star or a TV star or whatever that looks like a model, and they go, "Oh, my God, this person's normal. They don't have friends, or their life is a shambles, or their parents are crazy, or, they're a recovering alcoholic," or, whatever that looks like. People go, "Man, okay, I look up to them, and how are they handling it? And what did they go through? What were the trials and tribulations?" And that's what the show is really about.
Now, where will we be able to see that?
Well, we've already been having discussions with Amazon, with some folks with Amazon and Hulu, and that looks like a good direction. They like the show. I'd like to meet with we're going to meet with Lifetime here in the next couple of weeks, and then I'd also like to meet with the OWN network too. So I basically want to put this content out there because it's some really hard-hitting content that the more the merrier see it, the better it'll be, because it's not just about keeping it in a small little nugget, unless the deal's right. But I think that people really need to see it, and they go, "Oh, this is cool stuff," because it's really good content. It's evergreen, and it's stuff that people go, "Man, yeah, that either really put a light into my life, or maybe that put a light into what's going on with my friend, or maybe that just made me feel a lot better, or maybe I'm like, oh, this is cool. I understand this, or I didn't know that person even dealt with that." And so the cool thing in the show is that we actually switched the chairs, and they actually asked me questions about their personal life. So it's kind of interesting, kind of different.
Right. Have you ever done TV?
Yeah, well, I've been on TV, I'd say probably about 60, 70 times, but that was just like on news and stuff. I was on a show called The Big Rich Texas. I was on I think it was on, not Bravo, but, was it the E! Network? Anyway, was on a show called Big Rich Texas. I was actually the therapist to one of the girls on the show. And, yeah, so I like TV because it's just what I do on radio, but like people get to see me and they get to see my expression and they get to see kind of who I really am. And I think that's an even better composition.
You know, you gotta, I gotta see this because what I'm like getting off of you is you're kind of like a no BS type of person, and I can just imagine like some of the people like saying the goofiest things to you and just being like, get your shit together. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing?
It's like, what's happening to you, man? You know, you're right. It's cool. It's, you know, what's so funny about it is like when I connect with folks, I connect with them, and it really takes down that barrier. And that's the thing is that when there was a Getty was in there shooting, and there were some folks in there, and they were just like, holy hand grenade, Superman. And you could tell that these people, that's not a normal interview for them.
Right.
But, you know, the neatest thing about every one of those people is they were like, man, I really get you. I really understand you. And I like you, you know. And I'm like, well, I like you too, you know. And I was like, you know, because I think a lot of times people have that they think there's something, you know, that's like the celebrity thing. And then there are other times a lot of people that are interviewing, they don't. The whole thing is it comes down to respecting yourself and loving yourself genuinely. And when you do, people know it because they feel it. And when they feel that, it changes the whole dynamic, and you can't fake it. So that's the one good thing that's going on is that I'm like, you know, somebody could come up with a concept, but you know what? It's already been done. We have it in the can. We're putting it out. But the thing is like, you can't fake that, though. And that's what I think that this whole world is waiting for is good content that people can't fake, and getting away from fake content and fake news and fake, you know, and giving something to people like your show, right? People can tune into your show and they hear real, and they don't get that other places. And that's the key, and that's what we're going for. And from A to B, and the cool thing is that people will know, and that's why they listen to your show, because they like it, because they like what you have to say, because they buy into it, because it's real.
Right. Wow. Look at that. I'm starting to love myself now.
See? See? Just hang out with me for a couple of follow-ups, and we'll be good.
There you go.
Remember that? I'm not only the president, but I'm also a client.
There you go. You actually you sound like a person that would be funny to hang out with and drink a few beers with.
Oh, you'll have a blast. We'll hang out. We'll have a good time. I don't drink beer, but man, I can have fun. And we will hang out. Yeah, I love life. You know, it's like sometimes I do get down. You know, like everybody else, and sometimes I sit there and I go, "Well, man, is this depression?" You know, or is this a midlife crisis? But you know, you go through the process, and everybody's human, and this is a human condition to deal with. But then you have to look at life, and you kind of have to pull yourself up, and you go, "Well, crap." You know, I can either go through this miserable, or I can go through this with a smile on my face. And I sometimes go through intervals of that whole feeling within 1 hour of each other. But I know what I need to do, you know, and as I keep practicing what I need to do, it gets easier. It gets easier. And I look at the mirror a lot, and I smile in the mirror. And in my book, with a 10-day challenge to live your true life, I talk about that. You know, one of the things is you got to look at it. You got to buy into it. You got to look at it and believe it and do it. And you can't look in a mirror and smile and really honestly smile and look directly in a mirror, look into your eyes. You can't do that for more than 10 minutes without being happy, without coming to some sort of resolution that you're going to move on and you're going to get through this. It's almost impossible. I don't know anybody that hasn't been able to do it. So I don't know. I know that sounds simple, but it works.
Huh.
I mean, seriously, think about it. Walk in the bathroom, turn the light on, right? Look in the mirror. and look at it, and you get a frown on and stuff, and turn it up and really, really smile and look right into the mirror and look into your eyes and really look in there and be like, man, I mean, because it's like a marvel. I mean, we're all marvels. We're like medical marvels, right? We're here, we're human, we're in this body that we've rented, and look into your eyes of the soul and really think about what's going on.
Yeah. First off, I never even thought of that. I'm leasing this body. Can I trade mine in for a new one, please?
That's why I never got any tattoos, because I never made an agreement coming in that I could have any.
Oh well.
You know what I mean? I mean, tattoos are cool, but you know what I'm saying. But I never made an agreement, so I didn't get any. And I never fell in love with anything for a long time, so I knew that better not to. It's like buying that green car one day and going, oh shit, shouldn't have gotten the green car. I mean, do you have any tattoos? Do you have tattoos?
Yeah, I do. I have 8, 9, something like that.
Well, what are they? I mean, is it the same genre, or is it different types of things that remind you of things, or?
It's I have my all-time favorite car is a Corvette, and I've had a few of them, and I have the Corvette flags. I got that tattooed like 20 years ago.
That's cool. I like Corvettes. There
you go. See, and I have the 2 hearts with the arrow going through it for Mom and Dad.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I like that.
I used to be a professional wrestler, and my first gimmick, or my wrestling alter ego, was a biker gimmick, and my name was Easy Rider, and it was a long time ago. It was 25 years ago, and I got a tattoo of a skeleton on a motorcycle ripping out of my arm, and I look at it and go, yeah, I was a kid then.
That's pretty cool, though. I mean, that's cool, though. It's part of your past. Yeah.
I just got, as a matter of fact, the last few months on the back of one leg, I got my favorite guitar player's guitar, and he died in a plane crash years ago, and I got wings coming out of it. And another person who is one of my idols is Evel Knievel, and I got Evel Knievel's helmet tattooed on the back of my other leg with wings coming out of it.
That's cool. Well, I mean, my thing is I never found anything that I really wanted. I had friends that would get, like, Dubs or, like, the Dancing Bears from Grateful Dead or whatever that looked like. And I'd be like, cool. And they'd be like, well, what would you get? I was like, I never really fell in love with anything. I mean, I think if I did, maybe I would totally probably get something, but I just never could come to terms with what I want. And I never wanted to do that Chinese lettering because I always knew that it would never say what you think it said.
You know what? I got one of them, too.
You do?
I do, yes.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh.
I was...
What does it say?
I was 18, and it was my second tattoo, and it took my buddy to get his first one, and I only had $25, and that's all I was able to get was a Chinese symbol. And supposedly it says hard and strong, but I think you'd say you're a jackass. You never know.
You know what? I got a bunch of Chinese friends. You got to send me a picture of that. Just email it to me, and I will find out for you exactly what that says, because I've heard sometimes you get the right one and then sometimes you don't. There's a friend of mine here that he was in that movie Remember the Alamo. Remember that movie, the Alamo movie? Mm-hmm. With Billy Bob Thornton, and he was in that film, and they all got tattoos, and it said "Remember the Alamo" on their arm, and the guy misspelled his, and it said "Remember the Alamo."
Oh,
he got "Remember."
That's like that commercial. No regrets instead of no regrets.
No regrets. You're like, yeah. No, but I mean, I have never fallen in love with anything long enough to get it. I mean, if I did, I have some friends that have like the little, the dog paws for their dogs, and then the kiddos. And I got one of my friends that has the names of her kids on her, one on each wrist, which is cool. But I just never fell in love with anything to get it. So there's
nothing that you from all growing up until now you still love.
I just never wanted to label. I don't know. I kind of feel like time is all congruent and it all kind of moves together. But yeah, I don't know. I just never feel compelled. I mean, I was one of those kids that didn't want to get my ears pierced. As a kid, when I was a young kid, my mom would be like, "Hey, you get your ears pierced like all the other girls," and I was like, "No, I don't really want to." And finally, I was kind of like forced into it. At like 16, because I was like way late on the totem pole on the piercing of the ears thing.
Wow.
And so I got my ears pierced, and I didn't like it.
I did mine before you. I haven't worn it in a long time, but yeah, I mean, I had both of them pierced by the time I was 15. And my mother did them.
You did?
Yeah.
Your mom did them?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Are they, did it hurt?
She got a pin, heated it up on the stove, and held my earlobe and pushed it through.
Well, you have like a progressive mom. I mean, like that's like my mom would. My mom, she pushed me on the 16 thing, but I mean, I went to like you remember that place called Claire's in the mall?
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember. Yeah, that's where I got mine done at. Claire's, and then like some plastic earrings you stick in there. But it's fun. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool though. Yeah, I wear earrings now. I mean, I still. But I got over the whole tomboy thing and all that stuff. But yeah, I just never. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you know what? Who knows? I still got a long lifetime, so tomorrow I might wake up and go, "Oh my God, I'm gonna get this." Yeah, why not? Right? Why not? I want to see some of your wrestling stuff too. At some point, you're gonna have to share some of that with me.
Yeah, the good old days.
That's cool. That's really cool. I never wrestled, so, I can live vicariously through you.
Yeah, it was many years ago. So I don't be doing it no more.
You're like, no, I don't want to go through that bodily injury and pain anymore. It seems pretty tough. I mean, from what I've seen on TV, I mean, it looks pretty rough, actually, to be quite honest with you.
I haven't been in a ring in 15 years, and put it this way, last week I literally had to go to the hospital because my back is just screwed up.
Because of all that?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So you basically contributed all to that. That it's so excruciating. I mean, I see people. I mean, that is a really aggressive sport, and I know some of it's theatrics, but I mean, for the most of it, I mean, you're like throwing yourself down on a table or on. I mean, that stuff's painful. I mean, you look at people and you go, how do you have that constitution to do that?
Yeah, whacked with many chairs across my head and tables, and yeah. It was fun then. Now that it's 15 years later, I'm like, I was a jackass. What did I do to myself?
I can't wait to tell some of my friends that are big-time wrestler fans about you, that I did a show with you tonight. They're going to be like, dude. I mean, because this is a big deal. I mean, like the wrestling, I mean, this is big. I mean, I want to see some of your pictures, though, because I'd love to see some of that stuff. I'll share some of my old pictures with you, too. You won't be the only one putting it out there, but I would love to see some of that. That'd be cool. That'd be really cool.
Absolutely. Well, actually, this is incredible. It's been great getting to talk to you and know you and learn more about you. And you are truly a totally driven.
Well, awesome. And I'm so glad to be on the show, and I really appreciate coming on. And I look forward to coming on again for sure. So, and I'll have to have y'all on my show as well. So I'd love to have you on Live Your True Life Perspectives, and we'll get an interview in together. So I'd love to have you on my show too. And I just appreciate coming on, and I value your show, and you're an awesome person.
Thank you. So are you. And yeah, just let me know. People, believe me, you can do a many-part episode on me. Believe me.
Oh, I already figured that, so that's why I've already invited you to be on the show. We got lots of material. Don't worry. We'll make it great. I know that.
No, throw out there. Where can everybody find you and listen to your show and all that other stuff and get your books and everything?
Oh man, you're awesome. Okay, I won't go on and on, but just go to Ashley Ashley Berges, Ashley Berges Berges. It's really Berges, but it's Berges. So Ashley Berges .com. AshleyBurgess.com. Facebook, Ashley Berges. Twitter, Instagram, Spreaker, Stitcher, iHeart, Google Play, and stations around the country. But if you go to AshleyBurgess.com, you'll find me, you'll find the stations, and you can find the latest blogs and the videos and all kinds of cool stuff. And I'm also on YouTube.
Oh, cool. Very cool. I'll have to subscribe
but then
to that
soon to be in TV here soon, so but you'll be on the show, and we'll be able to talk about that when you come on my show.
Sounds good. Can't wait.
Awesome. Well, you still got to send me the picture of the tattoo. Don't forget.
I'm scared to know.
I want if it's not going to be bad. I bet you got exactly what you asked for. It's probably something really cool. It's probably cool. So, but it's good to know. I mean, why not? It's good to know.
Okay.
Well, sure. I appreciate you, and I appreciate your listeners, and I hope everybody's having a wonderful night. And just remember, the toughest thing that we have in life is to learn how to love ourselves. And once we figure that out, it's a day-to-day process. It doesn't go away, but hey, it gets easier. So
there you go. Ashley, thank you again so much.
Thank you for having me on. Have a great night, and to your listeners, thank you so much. And I look forward to having you on my show. And you have a great night, sweetheart.
You too. Thanks.
Take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
All right, well, there she goes, Miss Ashley Berges.